Hello and welcome to our course on Microsoft Windows 8. My name is Toby and I'm your instructor on this course. And first of all, I want to tell you a little bit about Windows 8. Now, I'm going to assume you have some familiarity with the Windows operating system and that you know that it's come through a number of versions over 20 plus years through Windows XP about 10 years or so ago, Windows Vista, and about 3 years ago Windows 7. And now with Windows 8 we've got the latest member of the Windows family. But this particular version introduces a couple of new things that really are quite significant. The first of these, and probably the most significant, is that versions of Windows up until now have primarily been intended to run on desktop PCs, laptops, and then things like netbooks, which are variants on the same type of device. It's true that about 10 years ago a version of Windows XP came out for tablet PCs, as they were then, but there's never really been a version of Windows that was really geared up for tablets, mobile phones and so on. With Windows 8 that has changed, and Windows 8 is now designed to run on a whole range of devices. It's still intended to be used on desktops, laptops, netbooks, etc. But it's also now designed to be used on tablets and mobile phones. And alongside this extension of its application is much more of an emphasis on being usable with touch-compatible devices. So now, rather than assuming you're using a keyboard and a mouse, or that you're using some sort of trackpad, Windows 8 is also designed to let you use a touch-sensitive screen. And the second key point, and one that goes hand in hand with the first, is that until now Windows has been usable only on machines with processors from Intel or AMD. With Windows 8 you can use ARM processors, and these are the primary processors that are used in today's smartphones and tablets. Now let me tell you a little bit about the versions of Windows 8 that are available. There are basically two categories. There is Windows 8 and Windows RT. Windows RT you will only see pre-installed on PCs and tablets that are powered by ARM processors, and you won't normally be able to buy a copy of that as a consumer to install on a machine of your own. And in fact, as far as Windows RT is concerned, although much of the material in this course would apply to Windows RT, I am really going to set Windows RT to one side on this course and concentrate purely on Windows 8 itself. Windows 8 is the version that consumers will normally purchase and that you'll be able to install on your PC or laptop. And in fact there are three versions of Windows 8. Now, if you've used an earlier version of Windows, such as Windows 7, you'll know that there were various versions. There was Windows 7 Home, Windows 7 Home Premium, Windows 7 Professional, Windows 7 Ultimate. This is considerably simpler in Windows 8, although there are still three versions of Windows 8. There is Windows 8, which is the base version. There is Windows 8 Pro, which is the professional version, and then there is a third version called Windows 8 Enterprise. Now the Enterprise version is really primarily intended for large business, and I won't be covering any of the specific enterprise aspects on this course. In this course I'll be using a computer with Windows 8 Pro installed, and there's a couple of places on the Microsoft website, including this one, where there's a table showing the features of Windows 8 and Windows 8 Pro. And if you'd like to see what the differences are between Windows 8 and Windows 8 Pro, if you find that table, scroll down, you'll find out what's involved in Windows 8 Pro that isn't in Windows 8. It will also give you a comparison with the features of Windows RT as well. Where appropriate, I will flag items that are in Windows 8 Pro but not in the basic Windows 8 version, but almost everything in this course is in both Windows 8 and Windows 8 Pro. One other question you're likely to have is my PC ready to upgrade? Can my PC run Windows 8? Well, on the Microsoft website there is a section here under Windows. If you do a search on Windows 8 system requirements, you should find it okay, and it gives you a list of system requirements for Windows 8. If you check through that, that should quite quickly tell you whether your PC is ready. It also gives a link through to a full system requirements section, and very helpfully you can also use the Windows Upgrade Assistant, and the Upgrade Assistant will actually analyze your system and tell you if it's ready to run Windows 8, or advise you of any deficiencies in the specification of your system that you'll have to put right in order to be able to run Windows 8. Now, if you'd like to know what's new in Windows 8 compared to earlier versions of Windows, there are a couple of great places in the Microsoft website with a lot of information about this. There's one here, Get to Know Windows, with an overview of the changes, and then categorized details of all the changes in Windows 8. Now, clearly in this course I'm going to cover many of these in quite a bit more detail, but if you'd like to see a sort of snapshot summary before we get started, I suggest you go to one of these pages within the Microsoft site and have a look through to see what's new or different. One other question you might have is whether you should run the 32-bit version or the 64-bit version. If you have an older machine with less than 4 GB of RAM, then the 32-bit edition will probably do the job for you fine. If you've got a newer computer, you should always use the 64-bit edition if you can. You get improved performance and security, but you also get support for larger amounts of RAM. So I mentioned the Upgrade Assistant just now. That is a good starting point. I always suggest you run that if you're upgrading an existing installation of Windows. Then you need to acquire the version of Windows that you're going to use. This might be for a new installation or for an upgrade. And then you have to actually perform the installation or upgrade. Now, for details of installing and upgrading, you really need to look at the Microsoft website. I am going to show you a little bit about the upgrade here, but primarily the information you need with the full technical support is available from Microsoft. So once you've checked which version to get, you've got that version and you're ready to start, you need to go through the installation or upgrade procedure, and then the next section of the course will assume that that installation or upgrade is complete. For the rest of this section, I'm going to quickly show what happens when you start to do an upgrade. So I've got a Windows 7 installation here that I'm running on, and I've got an upgrade disk, and I'm going to upgrade this machine to Windows 8. If you're looking to upgrade, then this will show you basically how to start the process. Now, once I install the upgrade disk, what happens is that my computer will start to read the content of the upgrade disk and prepare for the upgrade itself. You'll see a display something like the display you can see in front of you here. So the next thing that happens is that the upgrade asks me to see if we need to install any updates. You can say no thanks here and check for the updates later on, but I'm going to stick with the go online to install updates now. That will make sure I get the very latest version of Windows 8 on my machine. Note the checkbox at the bottom here. I want to help make the installation of Windows better. This gives you the ability to opt in to one of Microsoft's improvement programs for their installations. I'm going to leave that unchecked at this stage. So click on Next. And then what happens is that the installation process at this point is checking for an update to the Windows 8 upgrade installation that I'm doing. The updates have been installed, and on this occasion Windows 8 is going to do a restart. Then I am asked to enter my product key. I'm going to enter this now. I'm not going to show you my product key, of course. I'll put that in, and then when I've done that I'll click Next. Now I need to accept the Microsoft Windows 8 Pro license agreement terms. Click on Accept. Now I choose what to keep. Do I want to keep my Windows settings, personal files and applications? I'm going to try to keep everything if I can. So for each of the applications I've got here, I'm going to try to keep it installed. Many of the applications I've already got, I believe, will work okay on Windows 8. Clearly you can check with the manufacturers of any other applications you've got whether they'll run on Windows 8. If all I want to do is keep my personal files, then I could check that instead. If I didn't want to keep anything and was just perfectly happy to start from scratch. I could say nothing here. Now I'm going to keep everything if I can, so click on Next. It does a final check to make sure I'm ready to run the installation. So if it finds anything that needs my attention, it will give me a message about that. So you'll have to add your languages back in Windows 8. I'm actually upgrading from Windows 7 Ultimate on this machine, and this machine has many foreign languages installed on it. So I say, okay, I can confirm that. And it's ready to go. Install Windows 8 Pro, keep my Windows settings, my personal files, and the applications I've currently got installed. So I'm going to click on Install at this point, and the installation will begin, and I'll have to stop recording at that point. In the next section, I'm going to start from the point where, having installed Windows 8, I fire it up for pretty much the first time, and then I'll talk about what you can see and the very earliest stages of working with Windows 8. So please join me in the next section.